Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. It's Over the Pond with Fraser and John. Quack.
Quack.
Welcome back. This is episode more than 5.
It is, and that's better than most podcasts out there.
We always say that it's like, we're going to be freaking super consistent, and then we're gone for 2 weeks.
I have valid excuses this time. I went on holiday, and then I came back, and I'm sick. And I don't really know what I was sick with. Like, a part of me is kind of suspecting afterwards that it's COVID and kind of feel a bit bad.
Might be,
yeah, because I haven't been out that much, but like, you know, gone into the store to pick up my groceries and stuff. So if I've killed someone's nan, I humbly apologize. But she should have got vaccinated, man.
She was listening to too much RFK.
Yeah.
With it, it's interesting, right? Because obviously when it was first, you know, when it first dropped, when the COVID album first dropped, it was like really scary and it was like very new. But like, I don't know, like it feels like we're at a point now where it's like, obviously you treat like how I would treat a flu. If I was feeling terrible and I had the flu, I wouldn't go out. But like, I don't know. I think now we're at a point where people don't expect you to not live a life. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm
you're right. You're right.
To say that, but that's kind of how I feel with it.
I feel like it's just like if you've got the flu, you stay in bed, you stay at home. Mm-hmm. And like in fairness, I cut off I wanted to play football on. We play footballs on Thursdays. I think I mentioned it before, and I just put a message in the group chat being like, I've got a cold. I don't really know if it's like the flu or anything else, but just saying in case you guys don't want to. And we were like, yeah, let's just not do it this week because, like, you know, you don't want to spread germs and stuff like that. So like, I still take precautions and stuff. But when I was like in the midway stage, I got on the tube because I had to, and I was like,
you just tried to be around as many old people as possible.
Just fucking killing everyone, man. I sat down and I felt really bad because like on the tube, it's like when you're sat like next to a bunch of people and then the seats in front of you like get freed up and they move away from you to sit over there. Totally get it, but at the same time it happened like 4 times on one ride of where people sat next to me and I'm just going, I don't know if you can hear me sniff, I was like that. And they were like clearly side-eyeing me and I'm like, just fucking move, just do it. I'd do it, so you should do it.
I think one of the I don't want to call this a positive, but I feel like it is for general health from COVID has been the fact that now if I see someone wearing a mask in public, I don't really think much of it.
I laugh.
Like before, all I do is go up to them and call them a sheeple and then tell them, you know, that I would never do such a thing, brother. And no, but like before it was very abnormal. I remember I'd see like footage from like Japan and stuff. And people would be wearing masks, and I was
people
like,
still do that,
weird.
man. It's crazy.
Like, I remember when SARS was like we had like a little scare here in the U.S. and they were talking about it, and like they would show like footage from Japan and a bunch of people wearing masks, and I was just like, oh, that's that's not normal here.
But now
it's like, I would see it and then I would hear an eagle screech just slightly in my head.
Suddenly a flag start waving behind you.
Yeah, and then it's just, I'm proud to be an American. Just no, but like I would think that it was like, but now it's just like, oh, like either that person's sick or they don't want, maybe they're like, honestly, a lot of times I'm like, oh, maybe they're just immunocompromised. They don't want to get sick. I just don't even really think much of it. But before it was always like, what the heck is
some of it?
Does that person have like, is that person like gonna be a zombie or like Resident Evil kind of stuff? Now I'm just like, oh, whatever. It's like super normal.
I remember when COVID was first like kicking off. This is back before anyone took it seriously. This was like March 2020. And there were like rumors about something spreading throughout the world. There was like, that story about the ship that like got stopped in Italy because people had COVID on there. There was 0 cases in the UK at this point. And it was like a thing of like, we were like, this is just another swine flu. This is like another bad flu thing. Like, it's just like, it's going to come and go.
They always say it's going to be a big deal. Whatever, and you're just like, whatever.
So we had a holiday booked. And we went on the holiday, and I remember going in the airport, and like half the people there were wearing masks, and I kept turning to my friend being like, "The fuck are these guys doing?" Like laughing, like, "What the fuck's going on here?" And then on the plane, this is over 5 years ago now. I'm a little shit, man. I just start like pretend coughing on my friends and everything. it's aged so badly. I just finished my sentences off like pretending to like choke on a cough or something, and I don't know why. I think I just thought it was all a complete like joke at that point, because at the end of the day, there hadn't really been anything like COVID up until that point. So I was just like, it's just like there's like stories even now. There's
when
like
you were what 5 years ago? You were what, like 15?
I'm an immature man, all right. I was but what's confusing about that is that you think about that now, you're like, fucking hell, that's pathetic. But back then it was just funny. But yeah, there was nothing like that back then, because even now in headlines, there's going to be like every month a new thing coming out of like this thing could be the next COVID or something like that. But it's like you just dismiss it because you're like, no way.
Well, it's the cried wolf thing, right? Like I had heard it so many times, and I had a similar experience. Granted, I had the intrusive thoughts of wanting to do what you did, but I didn't.
To be fair,
I'm a much better person than you. But that's besides the.
I've said much worse things on planes. Like my intrusive thoughts truly come out.
Oh
like,
yeah.
I'll just, if I'm with like my girlfriend, I'm like an angel. But if I'm with like friends on a plane, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm not causing any disturbances. I mean, the coughing was a bit much, but like outside of that, I'm not causing disturbances. But I will like whisper things in my friends' ears that you don't want to be said.
Make them laugh.
You don't want that shit said on the plane, but I'll do it.
So I was actually in Miami when like the actual like stuff kind of started getting a little serious, right? And I had to fly back home, which was at the time was San Diego, so the opposite side of the country as always, right? And I remember I did like a Q&A on my Instagram, and someone was like, "Are you worried about flying because of the virus?" And I was just like, replied, I was like, I'm not. I just remember I was like, I'm not worried at all. And I just think back on that, and I'm just like, it's almost like I feel like it's my fault that everything got, because I was so dismissive, and I was just like, nah, it'll be no big deal. And then, man, it literally, like, I think, and I mean, this is not new. People have said this so much, but like, it really feels like time stopped in that 2020, man. Dude, and like, it's so weird when I think about like, oh, 2019, I still struggle to think that that's 6 years ago now. Like,
I mean,
it just doesn't feel right to me.
20, like, I think, like, if you think of years in blocks, right? 2010 to 2015, oh my God, that's like a lifetime. I was I was finishing primary school. I was finishing middle school. I went to high school. And then I started university in 5 years, bro. Like, I went from 13 to 18. And so much happened during that time. Like, even in, like, social things, like 2 World Cups, 2 European Championships and sorts of sports. That was big. That's a big thing for, like, British kids. You start to learn to drive and all sorts. So much happens. And then 2015 to 2020... I go to university for 3 years. Then in 2018, I start like picking up on YouTube. I go to Russia on holiday. I start traveling more. Even that is a crazy thing to say nowadays, going to Russia. And then, up until 2018 and 2019, those years were long years, And then you get to 2020 where, dude, we're in 2025 and
halfway through it too.
It's crazy. I remember 2020 starting, we were like, it's got to be a better decade than the last one.
2020 vision, baby. Let's go.
Yeah. No. Hey, the thing is, people forget that year wasn't just cursed because of like COVID. That year, if people really think back to the starting of 2020, everyone thought World War III was going to happen because Trump just killed the Iranian guy. And there was like loads of tensions with like North Korea. And I remember just everyone was worried. Like, I was more worried about World War III starting than COVID when it started, like both of them. And to be fair, the World War III worry is still kind of there, but
it's kind of been just a lingering one. But speaking about the current presidency of the United States, what did you think about Elon Musk's tweets that he tweeted? Did you see the most recent thing that he tweeted?
No.
I mean, he's probably tweeted a bazillion things, but. So for those of people that might not know, right, Elon Musk, like him and Trump, obviously super best friends. for a while.
They're gay lovers, dude. Don't downplay this. They are like they are fucking in the White House. Like,
I mean,
it's called the White House.
So it's fine.
It's called we're in Pride Month, and it's called the White House for a reason, bro.
Oh my god. That started with Bill Clinton, and it's been continuing. But so they've been the best friends, but then apparently there was something that Elon disagreed with. It was a bill that
the big beautiful bill
or something like that. And then Elon was.
So, but when I heard the name Big Beautiful Bill, I thought that's just like a Trump thing of him describing something, because he loves to call everything beautiful. I had a beautiful conversation. Like, no, it's actually called the Big Beautiful Bill. It's the most American thing ever.
It's actually big, and then in parentheses, hands right after. Big hands, beautiful. No, but so like apparently that got through, and for some reason, maybe you know better about this stuff than I do, but Musk was mad about it, right? Yes. And so then he went on this tirade on X, formerly known as Twitter, and just saying all this stuff, and then he basically bookended it with saying, also Trump is in the Epstein files, just right?
Casual, just fucking sprinkle that shit out.
I was watching. Obviously, I was like looking at a lot of the media that was coming out about it, and it was like something. There was like a tweet, or it was some sort of post. Maybe it was a TikTok, but it was like Elon Musk saying that Trump is like in the Epstein files is like, it was like the most obvious thing. I forget exactly what they compared it to, but it was like finding out that, like sports cars can be red or something. I don't know. Like the most, like, it's like clearly, yes, of course he is. Like they were close friends and they hung out all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know why anyone was surprised. Like everyone, like I get the tweet was massive, but like there were people genuinely out there like, oh, I can't believe it. He's in the Epstein files. And it's like, guys, there's like 50 photos of them together. He's on the flight logs. Like, that's the files there. Them ones are public, like what were you expecting? And it was honestly one of the best moments in like Twitter history.
Dude, funny, man.
There's been some wonderful moments on Twitter, and like I saw some really funny tweets about Blue Sky, and I know there's gonna be some people who listen to this that use Blue Sky, but it was like, you don't get that shit on Blue Sky.
You want to know something embarrassing? You want to know what I use?
Oh, don't say use Blue Sky.
I use Threads, brother.
I know you do. I open that shit once a week, and I'm like, John's fucking tweeting on him, man. He's going for it.
I don't know what it is. I don't know. I like it. I feel like maybe it's my ego is inflated there because I get the most engagement on Threads,
do you?
And I probably have the most amount of followers.
I'm gonna go look
because on Twitter I'll put something out and I'm like, okay, no one saw that, so I just, and then I'll be like, okay, I'm not gonna tweet. I just don't tweet for months on end because I'm like, I don't know, I feel like I'm talking to myself on there. But on Threads, I could get some, I get some engagement, so that's kind of where I hang out. So
I think that's
but you definitely don't get that on Threads for sure. I'll tell you that much. Like,
no. See, I've tweeted on Threaded. I threaded.
Posted. Yeah, I know
I've made my few threads here and there, but I'm just chronically addicted to Twitter. I don't even use it publicly. I just have a private account which I just tweet into the void on, and I'll have friends.
Hey, I see them.
You see him, man. You see him, but you don't reply to. Well, sometimes you do.
Because you'll be talking about soccer, and I'm like, I don't know what this is about.
It's like my favorite thing about my private Twitter account. It's like, I really can't wait for the Switch 2, or I fucking hate this footballer. And then it'll be like the most deeply political and historical tweet you've ever seen in your life. Like I'll tweet 6 tweets in a row, which get like 1 like from one of my friends who probably feels sorry for me, where I'm going through like just deconstructing American politics, which no one can see. And I think it's therapeutic because sometimes
it's good for me to learn.
yeah. I feel like I'm educating my friends. They're like, yeah, this thing is happening. Like, I find it funny that I seem to know more about American politics than 90% of my American friends. It's quite...
Yeah, I mean, me, definitely one of them.
Well, I think I know more about American politics than I do British politics, and that's quite interesting.
That is very interesting, actually, because I know absolutely nothing about British politics. I have no idea.
I think I think with British politics, I know a lot about it, but I just have zero hope. Like in 2018, we had Jeremy Corbyn. It was like when he got ostracized from the Labour Party, I was like, that's me done with British politics. And ever since, it's just been a absolute downhill. So I see no hope. So I'm like, I'll just let this country burn. And with America, it's more like, I don't really see much hope, but there is still...
You see more hope for us? That's interesting.
I do. Like, weirdly, like, I feel like because there's more Americans than British people, there's just naturally more, like, leftists and people who align with my political views. But also, I think... I saw something, like, really funny. I was like, listening to some guy speak about Britain and their relationship with the EU and how Britain is, like, not gotten over the British Empire. We still seem to think that we're like this big, powerful country that do like incredible things, but the reality is we're just another European country, and that's it. Whereas America, you guys actually could like end the world. I don't think Britain could. Like, we've got some nukes, but I think on the scale of what America can do, and I think that's why when people say like, oh, why are you so invested in American politics? It's like, well, these guys fucking control everything. They like are in charge of everything. They're bossing everyone. Like, if America does something, Britain just follows. And I'm like, I've got to pay attention to that at the end of the day. So there is a reason why I am so aligned with it. But also it is incredibly funny because sometimes the richest man in the world does do the things that Elon was doing. And
dude, but have you seen? So recently he tweeted out that he regrets some of the tweets that he made, and I'm like, come on, dude, like stand on business, brother, come on.
I saw, of all people, Candace Owens made a good tweet where she was like, do you regret lying about him being a pedophile, or do you regret telling everyone that he was actually a pedophile? And I'm like, that's so true, because at the end of the day, he can't escape this. Like, if I'm Donald Trump, like I'll give Trump one bit of credit here. I think he's handled this whole thing really well, weirdly enough, in terms of with Elon, because he just hasn't said anything. Like, at the end of the day, he can't really, because you'll go, like, even if he's not in the Epstein files, why have you not released those files? Like, there's no reason. Also, can I just say, how crazy is it, by the way, that the whole Epstein thing is like, so everyone, like, it's not even like a conspiracy thing anymore. It's like everyone just talks about it. It's public consciousness. Whereas I remember like reading about like the Epstein theories in like 2018, and like it wasn't like quite as crazy as some conspiracy theories, but it was definitely like a bit taboo to talk about. Whereas now it's like, no, it's Epstein, man. Like, everyone knows about it.
Has anyone even gotten like in trouble other than, was it Giselle or
Ghislaine Maxwell? I think she got convicted, but honestly, like, these people, like, I don't know if I was like gonna break TOS to say, but like, if you're involved in like the Epstein files, like if you've gone to that island, you genuinely. My opinion, I might have to censor that, but like, I think just death penalty.
Maybe.
Like, I'm gonna write a timestamp. Censor. Not a threat, a suggestion of
a
the
joke.
A joke. I can say, if someone has committed the worst crime possible, I personally believe that maybe there should be
some serious consequences for their actions, for sure.
Yes, that one. We'll censor mine, but we'll keep that your words.
Okay, so I do want to talk about the stuff that's going on, but before we get into that, I want to talk about something a little bit more lighthearted that I know that you're super interested in, and I am very curious about how you feel.
Okay.
So that thing is the Switch 2.
I fucking love it.
that came out since the last time we did it. Did a podcast, and you are a huge Switch Nintendo. I don't want to say fanboy because I feel like that's
you could.
Negative,
I think I am. I think I am.
You're a Switch fanboy. I know that you're wearing your Switch undies right now. And so, what has your experience?
Oh, dude, I don't have underwear. I don't even have shorts on right now.
Free balling it, dude. Let's freaking go.
Yeah, let me just stand up. No,
sorry, have to blur that. I don't know.
That'll be on the exclusive memberships. Sorry. What were you saying?
So Switch 2, what has been your thoughts on it? Because I know you got it basically launch day, night. It was a little bit different because I think here in the US people got it at like 7 a.m. They were getting them from
there was midnight launch.
It was interesting. Walmart was like delivering them with a can of Pringles and a Coke, which is so unbelievably American. It's insane, dude.
That's beautiful. That's fucking beautiful. That's amazing, man. No, I think this is like I said to my friend earlier, I was like, I think this is like my favorite console launch ever. And the reason for that, I'm not saying it's like the best console ever. I think the Xbox 360, the PS3, they're probably...
Dude, that generation was so good, man. I was just in someone's stream today, and they were talking about NASCAR, and it made me remember I had this NASCAR game, and I played that thing so much on my 360. I loved that game. But sorry.
What's the thing with the 360 though, man? In those games back then, like, I don't know if it was because we had... Because we both grew up in like not the great financial situation, so maybe we didn't have as many games accessible to us. But back when I was a kid, I did not give a fuck about game reviews, game scores, what people were saying. No. Is the game broken? If I had the game, I'm playing it through, and I'm doing it all, man. I'm playing this game hundreds of hours, and I just don't care about what people are saying about it. And I've recently kind of tried to get back into that mindset with the Switch because there's so much controversy with this games console, bro.
It's crazy. That's why I'm curious what you think about it,
Well, I've got a million things I could say about this. Firstly, where the fuck have all of these Steam Deck owners been, brother? I've been, like, saying the Steam Deck is amazing for so long.
So cringe, bro. That is... Anyone that does that compares and is like, this is, oh, you like that? And I'm like, oh my God, I was on Threads earlier today, and this person, maybe this might sound very misogynistic. So if it does, preemptive apology. But it was this tweet that sounded, or thread post that sounded like the most like, I'm a gamer guy, right? So I thought it was a guy. Right. And they were like, oh, we're all the Steam Deck users now. The Switch sold 4 times as much as the Steam Deck has in 4 years already. And I'm just like, looking, I'm like, it's a completely different thing. And again, like, even to say that about the Steam, if it was flipped, it's like, they're so different. Why are we comparing them? It's just so
One's a portable computer and one is one's a Nintendo device, bro. And it's like... I think both devices are fucking awesome. The Steam Deck is great, and that's what when I said like where all these people come from who like claim to have bought the Steam Deck. Because like my issue is just like, yeah, you should, if you can and you want to, buy the fucking Steam Deck, dude. Like it's a great piece of hardware, but it's not a Switch 2. And I'm not saying that because they're better or worse than each other. Like I think that if we're gonna talk hardware, the Switch 2 is more powerful than the Steam Deck, but you'd expect it to be. If Apple released an iPhone 4 years after the another iPhone, you're kind of hoping that iPhone's going to be more powerful than that iPhone or more powerful than that Samsung device from 4 years ago. The Steam Deck's still great. It's just, it's 3 years old now, and it's like obviously it's going to have some limitations here and there, but also more importantly, they're there for different things. Steam Decks are there for PC gamers that want to play through their Steam library. The Switch...
And want to emulate things and want to tinker and want to be like any... not any, because I'm a PC gamer and I don't love tinkering. Whenever something goes wrong with my PC, I'm like, oh my God, please, stop. I just need to buy a new one. I can't deal with this. So I don't enjoy it. But some people really like that, right? And so they're like, I'm going to emulate this and I'm going to put this in. And I'm just like... For me, I want to be able to open Steam. For the most part, I've gotten some emulators on there, but honestly, I've never really played them because I have enough games on Steam that I don't play. And for the most part, I turn my Steam Deck on. I want to go to Steam, play my games that I can play because some obviously you can't play on the Steam Deck, and that's what I want. I want to be able to play the games that I already bought on Steam on my Steam Deck. I would never think that. I just don't even compare it to the Switch because it's so different. Like it just doesn't make any sense. And then also just. Nintendo is the largest game company in the world, I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, by a mile.
Compare that to Steam's hardware, it's not even close. It just doesn't even make sense to compare, like, it sold this much, but it's like, of course it did. What do you mean? Like,
and it's also like, the thing I was going to get onto is like, the people playing the Steam Deck, yes, you're going to have Steam Deck players that play, I should say, the Switch users, the casual Switch user is not buying a Steam Deck. They're buying this. They don't want to tinker, and honestly, even Steam, like the existence of Steam, is more complicated than just having a games console, putting a disc in, putting a cart in, or just downloading the game and clicking play. Owning a PC is a not just a luxury, but it's also a complicated luxury, and in a very niche market. Well, not a niche market, PC gaming is.
And it can be freaking annoying, dude.
Yeah,
like,
it can.
It can be. I'm sorry, I'm cutting you off, but it can be so freaking annoying because you have to download the drivers for this game. Oh, you download the drivers for that game. Oh, well, guess what? It actually makes the game run worse. Now you have to go back to an older set of drivers. And dude, I just had to do this for Night Rain, and I was like, oh, let me update my drivers because my game hasn't been running great. I updated to the most recent drivers, and the game was a freaking slideshow. So then I had to go, and I was like, oh my God, this is so, and why do I have to do this?
Yeah.
And so, like, I can understand someone that wants a Switch. They don't ever, and will never have to do something like that. And
I get
why.
need a screen, the Switch. You don't even need the screen. You can just play it on your Switch. And, like,
yeah, dude.
I've got, I mean, we know that I've got fucking every console. And, like, I'm really enjoying it because I had an issue with the Switch One of it is underpowered. And, like, and for someone that didn't like, so someone that is a PC gamer, I was very frustrated playing Switch games because it was it wasn't good. Like, it wasn't good in terms of, like, the performance wasn't good, and that took away from,
like 20 frames a second. It's like,
even like Zelda, like 12 not 12 frames, Breath of the Wild, like, it ran at 30 mostly, but it's like I play my video games on my PC at like 150 FPS. Like, I have a beast of a PC, so I'm used to high FPS, and to get the Switch 2 and the games are actually at like, I don't care if they're at 120 FPS, I should say. I just want a baseline 60 FPS and I'm good, bro. And anyone that's like saying, oh, but I got 110 FPS over your 100 FPS, it's like, bro, you cannot even see that. Like, don't lie to anyone. You can't see 120 frames a second. 60, maybe pushing 70, you can see them. But, like, some people get 40 and that's their max, honestly. And honestly, when I get 40 FPS in some games, it does look like 60, you know?
Yeah.
And so for me, it was like just the experience of going through those old games and having that at 60 FPS, but also 4K, and the graphics have been upgraded. It was like a really nice experience. And I'm playing through Breath of the Wild for the first time, and bro, this is like one of the most beautiful games I've ever played. Like, it's fucking gorgeous. And in 60 frames a second, 4K, shit's so nice to look at. And
like, you notice like a significant difference, you'd say?
Oh, dude, it's like, I think this is what frustrates me with the Switch too. Like, I don't think you need to buy it if you aren't into the Switch stuff. Like, if you're not into Nintendo stuff, then don't buy it, man. That's completely up to you. But and by the way, there are some practices with Nintendo that I don't like, but I think my issue is like, people are acting like these practices are these new things that, like, so for example, the game key card issues with Nintendo. People are saying that's like the end of the world. And don't get me wrong, I don't like the game key card thing, but this wasn't like, people are saying vote with your wallets, bro. You should have voted with your wallets 12 years ago. This was an Xbox One and PS4 thing. Discs stopped having the full games on years ago, a decade ago. Like, this isn't a new thing. And I think I just get frustrated when I see like this disingenuous thing of like, oh, this is just a Switch 2 thing, boycott it. And then there's like people just like needlessly making up lies, being like, if you plug a certain USB into your Switch, it's gonna brick. And I'm like, bro, it's not. I've seen videos of people trying everything. It doesn't do it. And for me, it's just more like, I'm not trying to be a Nintendo defender. I more just get annoyed when I see someone post their video being like, wow, I'm having a really good time with my purchase that I've spent my hard-earned money on. And then you just get a bunch of fucking losers in the comments being like, this is terrible. You should have boycotted it. Buy a Steam Deck. Get a PC. And it's like, bro, you are so sad. Yeah. What are you doing? Why are you going into comments saying that sort of stuff?
Yeah, no, it's cringe, man. Like, I think like any of the elitism when it comes to like even any of the consoles, right? Like, people that are like, oh, PS5 is doing better than Xbox, and
PC Master Race.
Like, oh my god, like no one. It doesn't matter, man. Like, it doesn't. It just doesn't matter. Like, especially now that we're at a place with gaming where you realize that really the only reason there's a way that there's like a reason you can play a game here but not here is because some stupid deal that was made with the PlayStation or with Xbox, and they have exclusive rights there's no reason other than we just want to try and make more money off of this. Yeah. When you realize that, it's just like, dude, just do whatever you enjoy the most, and like whatever the games end up being on that you want to play. That's why for me, I was like, okay, when the new consoles came out, I was like, I want to try and get a PS5. I didn't get it like right away. It took me a while, right? But I was like, because I have a PC, and so I can play any game that's going to be on Xbox, I'll be able to play on PC. Easy, right? So that's why I got the PS5. And then I have the Switch or whatever. But it's just, I don't know, man. It's so... It was just so funny looking at like those posts and just people doing like the whole like, oh, you should have got a Steam Deck, or the Switch 2 is so much better than the Steam Deck. And it's just like, they're different things, man. Like, why are we keep comparing these things to each other? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's weird. It's I feel like it's like getting if someone bought like an acoustic guitar and they start playing songs on TikTok, and then someone posts being like, you should have bought an electric guitar, brother, or something like that. It's like, just what are you doing, man? Like, and it's also policing people's purchases. It's just like, I find it so utterly pointless. And I think for me, I really want to watch content of people like going through certain games where they're showing certain cool things, where I can take that and go into my game time and like enjoy it even more. But basically all of the dialogue surrounding the Switch is just nothing but negativity. And I as I said, I get it on the pricing stuff. The £80 game or $80 games, it's fucking ridiculous. Truly, it is. Like, I've got Mario Kart and it's a great experience. It's so addicting. Shit's not worth £80. I got it on the so that's like $50. So it's like it's a $50-$60 game. And I saw Pokemon the other day are putting their next game at $60, and I was like, it's weird to actually have respect for Pokemon.
That is surprising. Actually, that is very surprising.
Yeah. I appreciated that. And Claire Obscura being like $50 or $40, that was like a nice thing.
That game was so fantastic, man. Like, I know we already told people to try it, but if you haven't played that game, try it out. Play it on easy, man. If you're like, I don't like turn-based or it annoys me, play it on easy, just so you get the story. I'm telling you, it's worth it. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm almost at the ending of the second act. I just got distracted by the Switch, to be honest with you.
Of course.
Yeah, I probably will pick it up. To be honest, I would, if there was a game to go on the Switch, I would love that to go on the Switch, because that'd be so nice. Yeah, because like it doesn't run great on the Steam Deck. Like, it's a shame, but like most Unreal Engine games just run terribly on Steam Deck. Yeah. It's kind of that's my only criticism of the game. I wish it wasn't in Unreal Engine, and I wish it had like a unique art style. But you know, it's still a wonderful game, and it still does look really nice, to be fair.
And then what about like as far as how the Switch feels compared to? I guess like, because I think you have all of them, right? If you were to compare all the Switches, right, like between quality of how they feel, where would you rate it?
Oh, it's like it feels like, when I look at my Switch 1, it looks like a bit of a toy now, whereas this looks like a premium gaming device. This thing here, the actual like docking station, it's okay. It's a bit. In comparison to the quality of the actual Switch itself, it's not a letdown, but I feel like it feels a bit plasticky. I think like a metallic design would have been nicer, but at the end of the day, it's not really like if it was a base console and it was this plasticky, like if it wasn't a console that moves around, I'd be like, yeah, that's a bit cheap. But it is just a docking station, and I do like that the docking station is actually way more. It has more of a point. Like, the problem with the Switch 1 was like some games worked worse when they're docked, whereas this one, they actually all work better when they're docked, and I can appreciate that. There's it has another fan built into it, so it cools it down and stuff like that. So yeah, honestly, my experience overall with it has been nothing like, I'd say like a 10 out of 10 so far. I've really enjoyed it. I've played it a lot, to the point of where it's distracted from my work. Like, I've been getting I've been getting it when I was ill, was a good thing, because I didn't feel as bad of not doing much work. But today I came back and I started working on my James Charles video, which that whole story is kind of blown over now. So I'm kind of doing it in a bit more of a retrospective thing now. And I don't know about you, but do you ever like take a lot of time off, or you get ill and you come back and it's like, it's so overwhelming getting back into things, like not just with YouTube, but like in any case, like when you don't do something for so long and you've been ill and you try to jump back in, like just straight in, it's just like, today I felt so stressed out because I'm like, oh my God, there's so much to do. And like, I quit and started again writing my script, just because it was like, it felt pointless because I was like, this whole thing's done anyway. But
yeah,
then
that's tough, man.
Yeah, but then I was like, oh, well, I make retrospective videos covering things that happened like 4 months ago, like a year ago. Like I think at the end of the day, there's an audience there that will watch the video, hopefully.
Yeah, no, a lot of times when I'm feeling that way, I'll kind of just, obviously our videos are different. Like you spend a lot more time. Yours are a lot longer than mine. But I usually will just kind of be like, let me just try and like something completely different for like just start from beginning, right? Like completely change where it's coming from. But yeah, that's kind of what I usually end up doing. Yeah.
I also feel like the kind of going off on the Switch 2 here. I'm writing down timestamps this time so I can get the chapters in for the actual video when we upload it on YouTube.
Okay.
But I feel like with how big social media is getting right now, I get stressed because there's so many topics and I don't know what to cover, in the sense of like there's so many things going on, and it's like I try to think back to when I was first getting into this in like 2018, of where I'm like, when I picked topics back then, it seemed a lot easier, whereas now there's just so much. I don't know what to talk about. Like, it's almost like, again, kind of with video games, you know, when you've got like if you have 2 video games in front of you, you're going to play those 2 games. But if you have an entire library of video games, you're going to get like into that stressful point of not knowing what to play and almost feeling bad that you didn't play that other game. And I kind of get that with video topics, of where I see topics happening and I'm like, I'd like to cover that. But then there's other things happening, and it's like, but then it's like, oh, but that thing happened a week ago. Am I behind? And it all gets a bit muddled, and I just get really stressed and overwhelmed. Like, I don't know about you. Do you get that?
No, I feel similarly, and a lot of times another part of the issue for me is like, because obviously, like, I think you do a good job of covering a wide breadth of a lot of different topics. I'm a little bit more niche, right? And so with that,
it's interesting. Sorry to interrupt. It's interesting you say that, but like, I feel like sometimes I don't do enough widespread stuff, which is really weird, because obviously I cover influencer stuff, but I get it. I'm not going to make a video about Star Wars or something, but I sometimes feel bad that like I'm not like opening my reach enough. But it's interesting to hear you say that.
I mean, maybe it's one of those things, right? Maybe it's one of those things that everyone kind of feels that way.
A
little bit, you know. But like for me, if I don't feel like I have anything extra that I feel like hasn't been said by someone else, honestly, I don't really watch that much of like creators that make very similar content to me, because I try and make sure I have my own opinions. But like if I've noticed that like a bunch of people have made a video about this specific thing, whatever it might be, right? I'm just like, am I adding anything? Am I adding anything, or am I making this video because I'm like, oh, this is doing well for other people? I'm not saying I've never done that. Definitely not. But like sometimes I'm like, do I really even want to make this video? Like, because am I saying anything that's extra, or am I just basically regurgitating what other people have said, not because I've heard them say it, but because we have similar thoughts on the subject and we're talking about the same thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I get what you're saying here. And that's kind of why I moved into doing the more retrospective videos, because like with the whole James Charles thing, as I said, that thing's over. That's blown over. But like, I think my way of covering it and feeling like I'm contributing is that it's a retrospective. Like, I feel like with that situation, there really wasn't like a conclusive answer. Not many people really know what actually happened or what the real stuff was. So I think I do a good thing in doing the retrospectives, but it's kind of annoying because I would have liked to cover it as it came out. So I get what you mean, because like when I saw it was coming out, everyone was talking about it, and I was just like, oh man, it's just not worth it. But I think what's really annoying is I know that mentality isn't right, because I've had cases where I've seen a situation where everyone is talking about it, and I'm like, I just like, no, I'm going to make a video on it. I'm just going to do it anyway. And the video does great. And it's like, every time that seems to happen, and I'm like, I don't know why I still have that thought in my mind of worrying that it's not going to do well. But also, I feel like I'm almost just overthinking everything, especially right now. I like, it's like, it's really annoying. Like when you think about when you were like coming up, when you used to make videos, was it just a case of like, I'm going to make a video on this thing today, and that's that?
Yeah, pretty much, man. Like, because when I first like started making videos, it was a lot of them were just like straight up kind of like vlogs, you know, which again, when I was first starting to make videos, it's not like I had much of an audience at all. Right. So it was just like, I'm just going to make whatever I want. Right. So at that time it was like, I had basically just lost the weight, and so I was like, let me make videos just kind of going over, like I actually had a few videos that I knew I wanted to make, and one of them ended up being the viral video that changed my life, right? But it was like, okay, I want to do full day of eatings because I have a lot of people, because this was I know I'm kind of going back, but like this was before I had an Instagram was the only thing I had, and there was all Instagram was pictures. There was no stories, there was no videos, right? So I would have people ask me, what do you eat? And so I'd be like, okay, I want to do a full day of eating. And then I knew I wanted to do like workout videos, and I wanted to make like a transformation video showing my transformation, which were kind of popular at the time. But then there was another one that I wanted to make, which was a video about like dealing with loose skin, because I would get a lot of questions about it. And that ended up being the video that kind of like changed my life. But then like once that kind of blew up, I was like, okay, let me make videos about, again, still doing a lot of full day of eatings, a lot of vlogs. But then I started kind of dispersing, which are very embarrassing. I most of my, pretty much all my videos are still there if anyone actually wants to go watch these old ones, but they're really bad, where I'm like, you know, I have like an idea for a topic, and then I would just film it, you know, and it was, you know, I wouldn't really make any sort of like plan. I would just talk, you know, just like yap for, you know, at that time probably like 7 minutes, you know, 8 minutes or something, and then
back in the good days,
the video, you know, like that was kind of how I did things, and you know, it was definitely, it was more carefree. I don't know necessarily want to say like, oh, it was fun then, but it was like, it was more carefree. I didn't really have any expectations, you know, and it's definitely different now. There definitely are expectations, and when a video does really bad, I'm like, damn, you know, it sucks.
Yeah,
you know, but
no, I completely get what you mean. Like there's like expectations on multiple levels though. It's like you have your personal expectations, but there's also the expectations of like, if you get a micro thing wrong or you leave something out, it's like 5 years ago or 6 years ago, it didn't really matter. And by the way, I'm not saying getting the entire story wrong. I'm just saying like leaving something out, or like forgetting something, or maybe like misunderstanding a little part of a situation. That was far more forgiving years ago, whereas now it's like, I feel like
now you get it wrong, and then it's the top comment on the video, and you're like, God dang it, dude! Really? The top comment is about how I said something wrong. I'm like, dang it, man.
And it's always like something very minute as well. That's always like and you're like, you're more like frustrated of like, how did I miss that, or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if we're like overthinking it, because I mean, sometimes I'm like, what would happen if I just uploaded like a 12-minute video of where it's like minuscule editing, just me like that is what my second channel is. But there's a part of me that like hates my second channel, like, because it's like, that is what I like. The second channel is like, oh, find a topic, upload a video about it, and it's done. And it's very carefree, and it's like that. I wish it was like that on the main, almost. Like, I love making the main channel videos, but they're just a lot more stressful. There's a lot more thinking, and sometimes I miss that sort of stress-free, not really thinking environment, and I don't know how to really go back to it. Maybe it is a case of just like cutting out the noise and just really not focusing on what everyone else is talking about, and if there's a topic that interests me, just making a video on it, I guess. But I don't really know. It's kind of it's the moral dilemma, like not moral, but like the dilemma that every YouTuber goes through, I think, of like with content creation. And I think every few months I just kind of get into this, not like pit, but more like confusion. You know what I mean? No,
this is something that I've mentioned before to like friends. I'm not sure if I've said it publicly, but the way I think about it is like, if you're an influencer or just someone that posts online, it is, and especially if it's your job, right? It is most likely, if you're at least care about what you're doing, probably one of the top 3 things that you think about all day, if not the number one, you know, unless you have like kids and family, and then obviously that's probably more, but like it's going to be very, very high on how much you think about, how much energy you spend like thinking about your videos, your content, how much engagement it's getting, all that. The reality of the matter is that while it is that important to you, the vast majority of the people that even enjoy your content, right, that really are like a huge fan of yours, they're not thinking about it that much. They might be like, they might go to YouTube and check if a video is uploaded, and if it's not like they're like, no, they're just like, okay, well, did Curtis Cotter upload a video? You know what I mean? That's what I do. And then they just move on, right? But for at least for me, I think I've noticed is like I spend so much time thinking about it and being like, and then I just always have to try and tell myself like, you care about, and you should, but like I care about this much more than almost anyone. Obviously, there are sometimes people get, the parasocial stuff can get a little intense, but like I care about this so much more than the vast majority of people that are even fans of the channel. And so it's like those feelings of, like we were saying, a lot of times it's much more intense for us and we're putting a lot more pressure than almost any of our fans. I don't even like calling people that, supporters, whatever, would put on you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. It's a really weird thing because, like, at the end of the day, if we uploaded like a 20-minute video and, well, if I uploaded a 20-minute video,
I do that all the time.
If I uploaded a 20-minute video and it was very carefree and it just like was almost like lack of editing, but also just it was just me talking about a topic. Honestly, I feel like what would frustrate me is I know for a fact I would get comments being like, oh, I really like this. It's much more chilled and laid back. I really like this. And it's like, that's frustrating because I know that my audience would just like me to like turn on the camera and talk about a topic. But in terms of the wider scope of growing and like professionalism and like wanting my videos to be better, I think it is also like a bit of an ego thing of like, I want my videos to be good. I want my videos to be long. I want people to sit through and watch my videos. And I think I almost like don't want to go back to what I was doing before. And I think it's just like nostalgia. And I think nostalgia is like a great thing in everything. Like it can like really be a nice thing and a good way to look back on history, but it can also be like a poison. And if you let like nostalgia really take over your mind, not just with YouTube, but like anything, it can really fuck you up, man. Like I've like moved houses based around almost nostalgia. Like I moved somewhere and I didn't like it in terms of like, I could see my old area because it was like a massive tower block, and I had nostalgia for when I lived there, and I was like, oh, it was so much better then. So I just fucking moved back. And like, don't get me wrong, I was kind of glad that I moved back, but it was almost like, it's crazy how much nostalgia can have like power over so much of you. And I think it's like, if you let nostalgia take over your mind, we're going like full mental health here, but if you let nostalgia take over your mind, it can really lead you down some dark places. And I think it's like a good sort of thing to talk about these things, because you do kind of realize, hey, maybe those times in like 2018 or 2019 or 2020, they seemed amazing, but you probably still had the stress then that you had now. Maybe not to the same extent, but there was probably stresses then that you're forgetting about. Yeah.
And especially, and then speaking about the YouTube stuff, I think it's interesting. We don't have to keep harping on this, but I think it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I'm not sure if this is the right term, but like a catch-22, because yes, you don't want to over like worry about, oh, is my video good? But at the same time, if you like truly don't care, it's going to come out and like people are going to notice, and your videos aren't going to do as well. And like,
would you watch a video if somebody started off a video being like, hey guys, I don't care about this, now let me talk about it for 20 minutes. You're like, well, fuck you, I'm not going to watch this video, I'm going to go watch the other guy that made a video on this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then it's and it's just like, if you truly don't care and you don't put any effort, the video is going to be terrible, right? Yeah. Like, especially with the stuff that we talk about, it requires at least a little bit of research, kind of understanding what's going on. But if you're just like talking about it like, I don't really know who this person is, and I guess this happened, people are gonna be like, why are you making this? Like, you don't even know what you're talking. So there has to be that little bit of level of caring and putting in effort. And so it's like, it's balance. It's all about balance. I think that's the most important thing. Like if you're trying to make every video perfect, that will lead to burnout, right? And like being like, oh my God, but at the same time, you have to care a little bit, because if you don't care at all, then like, what's the point? Why would you even make the video, right?
Yeah. I think the worst place to get into is, again, with anything here, this could be the gym, this could be going to work, this could be hobbies, this could be seeing your friends, is when the worst thing is when you're getting so overwhelmed by all of these factors, like the nostalgia, the stress of what should I do this, should I do that? There's almost like too much choice in your face. the worst thing to do is let that all kind of mix in and then result in you doing nothing. Because I go through those stages of where
do too, yeah.
It's like a really bad spot to be in, of where you get so overwhelmed that weirdly you just do fucking nothing. And it's like, it's so weird how that can just fucking happen. And
it's very annoying.
Yeah, and then you're just more stressed. It's so stupid. The human brain is like such like there's a part of me like I've always wanted to go back and do a master's, and a part of me has always kind of wanted to do psychology, just because the brain is like so fucking interesting of how contradictory it can be. If you need to do these things, or what's right almost, but for some reason we just kind of fucking. It's like it's like our version of when like I can't, what's the word when a power has too much power in it and it breaks. It's like fries. Overloading. Yeah, it overloads. Yeah. It's like our brains overload, and it just kind of explodes for like 2 weeks, and it takes a while to get back.
Part of it for me, and I think this is from what I feel like everyone kind of says, "Oh, it's ADHD." It's because we have, and I'm just like, is everything that? Because I was diagnosed when I was a kid, so I'm an OG, you guys. But like, I feel like I definitely have this very, very strong sense of like, screw the power. Like, you can't tell me what to do. And even if that's me, if it's like, oh, you thought you were going to record a video tomorrow? Nope. Like, not happening, dude. You thought you were going to get on at noon and record? No, you're just not going to. No reason, but you're just going to be like, I don't want to do that anymore. It's just so frustrating because I'm like, why?
Yeah, it's almost like you're arguing with yourself.
Need to, rage against the machine. Why do I have to like? No, like that's when like I used to have like kind of a schedule with streaming, but now I don't even try to say that I'm gonna have a schedule because I know I'm not gonna listen to it. I'm not gonna do it because I'm gonna be like, no, I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to, and it's just like. It's embarrassing, honestly, like when I'm saying it out loud because, so many people have jobs where they have to be somewhere at a specific time, and I don't know why. It was easier for me then, but now when it's like I could just not show up and it doesn't matter. Before it was like, I had a job. If I didn't show up, I was getting fired. But now it's like if I don't show up, it's like whatever, like no one's going to know, really.
Yeah, it's really weird, and I do think that people like I think everyone who has ADHD would definitely be able to relate to us, because I think it can come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. Like, oh, sorry, I've still got a blocked nose, so occasionally it just kind of when you're speaking and you kind of have like a weird sensation in your nose. When
I can definitely hear in your voice that you're still a little sick. So thank you for doing the podcast, my friend.
No, I this is the first today I got back into work and tried to, and I was like really looking forward to doing this because I was like, I'm going to record something. I'm going to do something. I'm going to post something, and that's the most important thing for me.
So every hour today on Discord, Fraser was messaging me, "Pod."
It was like, all right, man, fine, I'll do it. No, what was I saying? Yeah, the arguing with your mind thing of like it being like that you need to do this thing, but your mind's just like, nope. But it's almost like not even a nope thing. I think the worst thing for me is when you just sit there and you're not even thinking about anything.
Dude. Yeah, nothing, right? Literally, there's some times where I'm sitting there and it's not even like I'm just on my phone. Yeah. I'm literally staring and doing nothing. And it is so annoying because I'm like, I can hear my brain being like, dude, just do something. And it's like I'm literally paralyzed. Yeah, is what it feels like.
And when you go and do that thing, do you get like? For me, it almost feels like weirdly physically painful at points to like strain your brain into like, no, you are doing this. No matter fucking what.
If I actually push myself, past that. But a lot of times I'm like,
it's hard to get into that spot.
I just do nothing, and then the next day I wake up and I'm like, why did I just waste all day? Why did I do that?
That's the worst part. Like, it kills you. ADHD kills your fucking days. Like you'll go for an entire day, and sometimes you'll be like, what the fuck did I do? Like, seriously. And my girlfriend, most mentally sane human being you'll ever meet, not a single ounce of mental illness. Sometimes I look at her and I'm like, how do you have such a clear head? It's crazy. Most of it comes from having a really wonderful and loving family, I think. But
must be nice.
Yeah. Yeah. She's like no ADHD, nothing like that, and amazing at planning. And like, if I say to her, "What did you do today?" She can go through every hour of the day and tell me everything, and I'm like, what the fuck, bro? Like, that's crazy. And like,
when someone's like that, I'm like, all right, yeah, totally. Me too. I woke up, walked to the shower, took a shower, brushed my teeth, made coffee. It's like, bro, this doesn't count.
she sometimes gets frustrated when I ask her how her day is, and she goes through all of it, and we speak about it, and then she's like, well, how was your day? And what did you get up to? And I'm like, honestly, it was just a normal day, as always. And she gets frustrated because she's like, no, tell me what you did. And I'm like, bro, some days I just don't do anything.
There's nothing to tell you.
Yeah.
All right?
Like, and I think
do you want to hear about Mario Kart 8 again? Do you?
I really think some people who don't have ADHD don't understand it, and they instantly attribute it to you've been lazy, because it is almost embarrassing to say, because you know it sounds lazy, that, I just sat and stared at, like, honestly, the staring thing really is a problem for me, of where I will get in from like a walk with Kenji, and I'll sit down and I'll just kind of just sit there for like 15 minutes, and I'll be like, what the fuck am I doing? And there is those occasional moments of realization of, dude, what the fuck am I doing? And it's like, and then you're like, okay, time to do something. I think for me, ADHD is like the most, I think another frustrating part about it, this is the ADHD episode, but when there's a deadline, when I know I need to do something, I lock the fuck in. That is what frustrates me. And it's not just with YouTube. I don't know if I told the story about my dissertation. I got a week extension on my so a dissertation is obviously something that you do throughout your entire final year at university. Brother, last day of your submission, I have not written the first page. I've not written the headline. I file for like a mental health claim of like, oh, can I have an extension? I'm really sad. Honestly,
I'm neurodivergent.
Yeah. Honestly, there wasn't much of a claim, but they gave me a week extension. Tell me why I didn't do anything for like the first 6 days. It gets to that final fucking day. I write,
and you're like, all right, I can feel this is it. Like, I can feel.
Yeah, I write 14,000 words in a day,
That's
fucking
crazy,
day.
dude.
And the thing is I can still do it. Let me go find my last script, which, where is it? Hold on. This shit was crazy how quick I wrote this. Obviously. It goes in. This is the first draft of my script. Obviously, then it goes into like checking and stuff like that. But if I go to, is this the entire script? Where is it? No, that is. 1 second. Let me just pull this up. Sorry, I have so many Google documents. No, not that one. Yes. Okay, here it is. Oh, this is fucking crazy how much I wrote here. I wrote in a day and a half 20,600 words for one script. Oh my god,
dude.
That is 54 pages in less than 2 days. And I wrote that because I knew I had a holiday coming up. I needed to get some content out, and I had been putting off doing this script writing fucking ages.
What did those days look like?
Oh, dude, it is just so. When I write my scripts, I'm on my walking pad and I'm on my computer, and you can see the amount of steps I did in those days. Let me just go back to last month. Okay, so last month was May. Okay.
Oh, I think you shared it, right? And I think I
can
commented.
You see this?
I was like, what the?
Does this show up? Okay.
Not really. Yeah, I see the spike in the middle there.
Can
there
you
we
see
go.
That?
54. Oh my god.
I walked.
That's like a marathon.
Yeah, I walked a fucking no. That is a marathon, because I remember saying to somebody, I was like, oh, let's just double check that. 54,000 steps in miles. Like
26.1 miles is a marathon.
Okay. I'm 6'1".
2.2. 26.2.
Okay. 54,000. How many calories did I burn that day? Fucking hell.
Too many.
Okay, I did 24.68.
That's crazy, dude. You almost walked a marathon.
Yeah.
That's wild.
I remember the next day my legs just killing.
I bet,
man.
dude. Yeah. I remember one time I wasn't thinking about it, but I got a walking pad and I was like, oh, I'll just stream and do this. And I walked for I think it was 4 hours, not thinking, because I wasn't walking very fast, because I was actually playing Expedition 33. And the next day I was like, my lower back hurt so much because it was like, obviously I'm not just walking, I'm like playing a game. So I'm kind of like, I'm not walking normally and it's just a little bit different. But yeah, that was a mistake. I have not done that since then. Yeah,
no, it's crazy on those walking pads. If you're like locked into something, you can just like forget about it almost. Like and it's like ultimate fitness hack. I feel like having a walking pad and like a standing desk, like it's such good like way to just keep up with your steps. Like having a dog and a walking pad, I think is the key for a healthy lifestyle. But yeah, kind of like rounding up to the end of our ADHD tangent. I don't know where to kind of wrap it up. I mean, I hope it helped for people who have ADHD listening to us kind of ramble about it. But I kind of want to go into with what's going on in LA right now. Because we can kind of mix this into the influencer world and also talk about like the sheer like serious stuff. Now, we both spoke about this briefly before. We're not like 100% too clued up on like the very baseline facts of where these things are happening, what's happening and why. But like in my understanding, there's like tons of protests going on in LA right now. And that comes from ICE basically militarizing to like a brand new extent. Like ICE were like basically a militia beforehand. And if you're listening to this, you don't know what ICE are. It's the immigration something.
Dude, I'm gonna look it up right now because I just realized I don't even know what it stands for, but I know what it is.
Yeah, basically just a
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement.
Yeah, it's like a nice way of describing them, but like when you see ICE, it's fucking.
They're like border patrol on steroids here, at least.
Yeah, like they are insane, and they've been masking up, going around California, taking in like as many people as they can possibly find, it seems, and it became like a really horrific situation. And there was a lot of peaceful protests at first, and then. It kind of seemed, based on a lot of videos, that ICE were like agitating. They were hitting into people in their cars. They were just causing like so much chaos in California. And I believe California is a state with like a lot of migration, right? There's a lot of people.
So I was born and raised in San Diego, right? So that is about 2 hours by car south of LA, right? Yeah. And so this is like very, very near and dear to my heart, even though I'm obviously not there anymore. And it's very interesting because California, right, if we were talking about history, not that long ago was Mexico. You know what I mean? And like then there was I think the American-Mexican War. I forget the name of the war. I know. I'm sorry. Okay. And then we basically were like, okay, Mexico's ours. Because I think that war where we got California happened right after Mexico won their war against Spain to become independent. So obviously they weren't in the strongest position, and then that's how California became
my poor ancestors in Spain.
Yeah. And so
I just realized my ancestors from Britain have been fucked by America, and my ancestors in Spain have also been fucked by South America.
So don't ever come here. No, I'm just kidding. But so like, it's interesting, right? Because if you think about California, right? Look at a lot of the main cities: San Francisco, San Diego, Los Angeles, right? They're all Spanish
Espanol.
Or Mexican, or descent, right? And like a lot of the the San Diego, you know what their baseball team is? The Padres.
Yeah.
Okay. Like it is Mexican culture is ingrained in the DNA.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It's Los Angeles, San Francisco, San Diego, San Jose.
Yeah.
Fresno.
Almost all of them. Like
Santa Barbara.
It's like it's ingrained into the DNA, right? Mexicans and Mexico built what is now California for the most part, right? And so it is just, there's a lot of immigration that has happened legally and illegally, right? It's just like, it's hard to even describe how intermeshed and just intertwined that culture is to, especially Southern California. That's where I'm from. I don't really know much about Northern California, but from what I've seen, it's very, it's similar to a similar level, right? And so what's been happening recently is that the whole ICE stuff has been happening. It's been happening kind of all over the country. There was actually something that happened here where I'm from that was kind of news, similar situation, right? Just, again, it's a lot of times right now it's become super militarized where it's like, it looks like literal soldiers walking down the street. But what was happening before was it looked like a random man with jeans on was just tackling someone and saying, oh, we're actually ICE or we're Border Patrol. That is terrifying. Okay. I just want to put that out there. That's terrifying. Like, just a random person is tackling you and saying, oh, I'm actually this. And again, they haven't identified themselves. You don't know why you're getting tackled. They could be completely wrong. And I'm sure they have been, right? And you're a completely legal person that can be here, right? And so it's just been boiling and boiling and boiling, right? And then the stuff that has gone in LA is just, there's been the what Fox News calls the riots, but there has been protests, right?
Yeah, but I've seen people saying riots, but I've seen the same 4 photos of.
That's how it. Yeah, that's how it always is. You know,
for the most part, it is peaceful protest, and at the end of the day, like, I've got to toe the line here, because you know me, protest is something that should not be defined by the government, is what I will say. And I think that there's a reason people are agitated. There's a reason people are angry. There's a justification, in my opinion, to why people are so angry. I have seen acts of violence that no government organization should be taking against their people, whether they suspect they're an illegal migrant or not. Because I think another thing a lot of America seems to forget about is illegal migration does a lot in America. There's like a lot of actual, like, it sounds crazy, but like a lot of illegal immigrants have come into America and have done a lot in America. Now, obviously, there's a difference between someone who's like illegally coming to the country and, try to live an honest living, try to do some good stuff, and somebody that's like illegally got in, they're a criminal in their own country and they're coming into the country to commit crime there. Like, yes, we can make those distinctions, but I don't think leftists or just people, not just leftists, but anyone who just has a heart, I don't think that's what people are saying that, oh, yeah, I think like criminals from all over the world should be dragged into my country. I think people are saying that borders are a very weird thing, and I think
the vast majority of people hope, and I wish it was easier for these people to come to America, quote unquote, legally, of course, but that is just not the case. And like, dude, it's been frustrating. I have my thoughts about a lot of political stuff. A lot of times I don't say anything, and people can have a problem with that. I understand. I try to talk about the stuff that I feel like I understand to an extent, even with this stuff, right? There's people that know way more than I do, but I felt like I had to say something, right? And I'm not trying to be like, everyone look at me, how good I am, right? But like, so I put out this story on my Instagram, right? And because I had just been seeing everything that was going on, so I wrote this, right? I remember growing up and learning, because obviously I'm from the US, right? I remember growing up and learning in school that America was great because we had such a melting pot of different people and experiences, right? And so I'll keep reading this, but like, when I was in school, man, like the way that American history kind of was taught, from what I remember, was like, hey, the way that we got this land was really not cool. And like, what we did wasn't great, but it wasn't like that was the main focus. It was like, we kind of had manifest destiny, and the natives kind of mostly died, but it wasn't like war. It was a lot of like, they got sick, which is, I think that there's a lot of that's true, right? It wasn't like everyone that died was just because they were murdered, right? It was like there was sicknesses that they hadn't seen. But regardless, we stole it, right? That is the fact, right? And then we went from the east to the west, and we said manifest destiny. We need to get all the way western expansion, right? We it's our God-given right. So but then how did we get so great? Well, slavery kind of happened, which was wrong. But when we rectified it, and now, America is great because we learned from the bad stuff we did, and now we're a melting pot of so many different countries and immigration, and all of this stuff is what makes us the best. Again, I don't know if I think this, but like the best nation in the world, right? When I was growing up, I was like, America is the best. There is nowhere else that is as good as it here. And like, again, obviously I didn't really know much about the rest of the world. And like, I always thought like, man, I'm so lucky to live in America. Everyone wants to live here.
Yeah.
Everyone wishes they were here, right? And as I've gotten older, I realized, okay, so some of that was propaganda, right? But the fact that it feels like so many people don't believe that. Let me finish the rest of this. And as I just said, it makes me so unbelievably sad now that so many people feel that so many other humans are illegal and don't deserve basic human decency. And then I wrote, we were supposed to be the best nation in the world, and now it feels like we're the laughingstock of the rest of the world, right? And I knew that, luckily, I knew that a good amount of people would be supportive, which was nice. I basically just was like, I'm not going to read the responses because I'm not trying to argue with people. I want to make it clear this is how I feel. Okay. Yeah. Like, this is how I feel, and I think that what's going on. And then I put another one that was smaller, just like, hey, if you've been affected by this, I'm really sorry about that. It's sad that we're going through this, something like that, right? And I just felt like I really wanted to make sure that people understood that, like, I don't think it's right. And then, of course, it was so frustrating, man, because I had, it's always really weird when it's like someone you kind of know that disagrees with you, right? Like, it was this person that I knew from years ago. It's not like we were the closest, but he was like, they shouldn't be looting Nike to prove that they're, and I was just like, dude. But even so I just then, replied, bro, like, I shouldn't have even replied, right? But I replied and I was like, dude, I'm sorry that you turned out this way. Maybe it was a little rude, but I was just, and then he wrote, my grandparents came here legally. And I was just like, oh my God.
Well, I'm sorry, but like, the founding fathers, did they come to America legally?
Dude, like, I wanted to say so much more, but I was like, okay, I don't really want to argue with this person. So what I did was I replied this. I said, I'm glad that we were a country that they were able to come to and wanted to come to, and we were able to help people out that were fleeing an unfortunate situation, right? Because let's be real, the situation that they probably came into, I'm assuming maybe the 70s or 80s, very different than where we are now. And I'm not even sure if they would be able to come here legally now because of how difficult it is and just all of the other stuff that's going on. And it's just like, it just makes me sad that people are like, well, I don't know. It's just, it's such a weird, the thought of someone being illegal is just weird to me. Like, and I don't want to sound too like, we're all human beings, but it's like, we are. And it's like, I feel like we have, when you hear the term, like when I hear the term illegals, it makes me feel weird because I grew up with many people.
It's a deliberately dehumanizing statement.
Yeah. I grew up with many people that I knew and loved that were quote unquote illegal. And like, I had friends that were like, oh yeah, my parents, they hopped the border, and I was just like, oh wow. Like, and I just remember thinking like that, and that must be scary. Like to think,
I mean, this is the thing. I remember coming to New York for the first time and when you go see the Statue of Liberty, you go into the bit of where like they used to process people coming into the country from Europe, and it's really fascinating to see Americans now because it's very when I first went there, the New Yorkers were like proud of like how diverse the country was in terms of like. It was just people who wanted a better life were coming from Europe. Europe was fucking on the decline. It was just crashing and burning, and they wanted to go somewhere with hope and a new land. And the manifest destiny stuff, like obviously terrible, but there was a group of people that honestly did just want to come to America and find a good new life outside of Europe, maybe outside of South America, and just they wanted to come somewhere different. And that was celebrated for such a long time. America is, what was it called, like a nation of migrants or something? Like it's and now what? America is no longer doing that. I mean, America hasn't been doing that for a very long time, but it's just very strange to me that there's this. I think America forgets what it actually is. That's the issue. I think America genuinely seems to believe, like the United States, a lot of people seem to believe that it's almost like they're a European country where they've had European countries, for the most part, are very white countries, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, I'm not saying they have to stay that way. I'm just saying, but for thousands of years, a lot of places in Europe have been white. And I feel like America seemed to think that and by the way, I'm all for immigration, even in Europe and stuff, anywhere. I don't care about borders, but my family are all migrants. But I just trying to explain. I feel like Americans seem to think that their history is like, we were always white here or something like that. Whereas the reality is no, there's a reason why there are such a diverse amount of people in America. There's a reason why there are so many different religions in America. There's a reason why in certain places there's more religions than others. You go to America, it's a very Jewish-based place. You go to certain places, it's a very Christian-based place. You know, it's maybe in some places that there could be certain Islamic places. You know, it's just how America has been built on so much migration, and it's kind of weird that there's this split now of where Americans seem to believe or think that they have always never been like that, and they've more been down the traditional European roots of, it's always been white there. Which reality is America does have a what's the word people that were originally there. I've completely gone from my word. Native. Sorry, America does have a native group of people, and America committed genocide on those people. And I think. But then they kind of, obviously after that they built on the country, but then they did take in tons of migrants, and it's kind of been a mix of, you've got the colonizers, you've got people just coming in, you've got the natives, and it's like America has never just been one group of people. It has always been through tons of horrific actions, of course, but has always been tons of mixes of people. And I've always thought that's what makes it so good. And I'm not trying to sound like a cliche lefty here, but even in modern culture and movies and TV and video games, man, you see New York, and it's so different to California. You see Texas, it's so different to everywhere else. It's I always thought America was so cool because of how different it was in every single spot. And that's not because, we just happen to be different. It's because there's different people with different backgrounds in different places, and that's such an interesting thing to witness. And
more than just that though, right? Because obviously that stuff I think is really important, but the thing that has gotten so crazy recently is just the militarization and treating American citizens, as well as people that are just in America, like they are subhuman. That is the scary, really scary thing, right? And it's gotten to a point where it's just it's crazy, man. I'm sure you probably saw that stuff with Trump talking to Governor Newsom, who's the governor of California, basically being
I want to talk about him in a sec.
If you don't comply with us, we will throw you in jail. And he basically was well, come and do it. Which honestly, I'd be very curious if that actually would happen, if that would cause more of
I saw a tweet earlier, and it was Governor Newsom kind of gives vibes of American Psycho, but you kind of love him in a way. I didn't really know much about him.
He's definitely not perfect, for sure. He's not perfect. He's made some mistakes for sure, but it's been so interesting, man. Seeing the people that are usually very much states' rights, brother. It's what the state wants. Now they're no, Trump, go get
send
him.
in the National Guard, brother.
Send in the Marines, man. He's not listening to what you say. It's just what do you wait? I thought the states were the ones that should be making the decisions here, right? I mean, so it's very interesting, right? Because the governor has he has his own thoughts, and it's so interesting, man. Because even Arnold Schwarzenegger, who was our governor for a while, which is still funny when I think about it. Like he's come out and like he's been very anti-Trump for sure. Maybe not the most in the world, but it's so interesting because I think like the people that usually end up becoming the leaders of California, they see the value, right? They see the value in these, if you want to say legal or illegal, these people that are coming and helping California. Like if we didn't have the immigration that we have, legal or illegal, whatever you want to say, California would not be as insanely profitable. And it has like, what is it? I think I was looking up a statistic where it has like the fourth or fifth largest GDP in the world after like the US and like, you know what I mean? Like as just a state, like it's insane. And so like they understand like we need this. Like we can't, I don't know.
But it's also, the idea of, cause when I grew up, England, Britain were like in United Kingdom were in the European Union, right? And there was always, the European Union was like, it's got its flaws. I was like always quite skeptic of it, but I ultimately wanted to remain in it. And the EU had this thing of where you could just go and live in any other EU country that you wanted to, regardless of borders. You can go there, you can stay there for pretty much as long as you want. It's easy to migrate to another country, like regardless of like, if you're from the UK, you could easily migrate to Spain, you could migrate to France, to Germany, you know, anywhere in the EU. And that was called freedom of movement. Sorry, Apple Watch just went off. That was freedom of movement. And I've, like, regardless of, like, obviously I completely agree with what you're saying. But, like, and I know you agree with what I'm about to say, but, like, regardless of, like, contribution to country, I've always been confused, especially when a country is next door to each other. I don't get why there's such, like, a anger about two countries, like, you know, migrating to the other. Like, if you want to move to Canada, in my opinion, just based on growing up through freedom of movement, you should be able to move to Canada. And if you want to move to Canada from the US or to Mexico or Mexico to the US, I think you should. And I think you should be able to, because I've witnessed what that did in the EU, and it was nothing but good, you know? And I think it really was beneficial for so many things. And I just find it so weird how, like, I don't, it almost feels like the issue of like illegal migration it almost feels like it's not even that much of an issue in comparison to so many other things. And it almost feels like people like Trump like to use it as like a deflection and a distraction from everything else going on in the world. And I like right now, nobody is speaking about the fact that the president just got called by his right-hand man and the richest guy, said that he was on the Epstein list. No one's speaking about that now. And I think that's crazy. Like, Donald Trump being on the Epstein list, or allegedly being on the Epstein list, or at least someone is Elon Musk saying that, should be a massive story which leads to these huge files getting released. But instead, we're all focused on this thing, and we should be focused on it, don't get me wrong, but it almost feels like he does these things just to distract, honestly. And I don't know if that's just being a conspiracy theorist, but he's very good at pushing attention away from another story onto something that he wants you to pay attention to. And I just think the whole thing is really fucking sad. And one of the main things that I wanted to speak about is there's this real issue of a lot of LA influencers and LA celebrities in particular are just silent. They're not saying anything about this this whole thing in California right now. And I think that is crazy, considering that all of these people would not have a career if it wasn't for California. Like, California as a state has provided so much to these influencers and to these celebrities, but they don't want to say anything because they don't want to upset their favorite brands. They don't want to upset people that they know. I'm pretty sure the Kardashians haven't said like anything about it as far as I know, and you know why they don't want to upset a few people out there. But it's kind of hilarious because you think back to do you remember the Kendall Jenner Pepsi advert in like 2016? And it's like, how the fuck were you doing that for a paid sponsor, but you can't just put out a few, like, well, not just a few posts, but maybe go to a demonstration or something like that, or maybe just, you know, make something worth of bringing attention.
You should go to a demonstration and hand someone a Pepsi, you know, like.
Can you imagine
in the ad?
Can you imagine going up to an ICE agent in their fucking like balaclava and being like, just fucking crack one open, mate.
Well,
we should just say with plastic bullets, by the way, and we're talking about me doing that and no one else.
The rubber ones.
Did you see as well? So sorry, but did you see the video of the Australian journalist?
Yeah. It's crazy because you're like watching it, right? And she's talking, and the guy like turns around and is like, bloop. Like, yeah. It's just like, oh, it's not like it was like, oh, a bunch of stuff going on and she happened to get shot. It was literally like,
he looked at her, bro.
Bloop. Like, yeah, it was crazy.
Can you imagine if that happened under like the Obama administration and a police officer did that to a Republican? Can you imagine?
Oh, yeah. It'd be game over. Yeah,
it would be. The guy would have his career over. There would be the Republican Party going after him. And there's like so many people that I can call out here. I don't think like the Democrats are doing enough. I think Gavin Newsom, is that his name? Gavin Newsom?
Newsom.
No, but like, what's his first name?
I think it's Gavin, yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of confusing because Governor Newsom, but also Gavin Newsom. But yeah, I think he's doing like a fairly decent job from what I've seen. But I get so frustrated seeing the lack of vocalization from influencers and celebrities, but also the Democrat Party in general. Shocking surprise. They've really said or done nothing of impact in any of this. But yeah, sorry. It's
just been, it's been crazy, man. Just like the ramping up of the, not just like the violence, but the, you know, like it becoming militarized. And but even scarier to me is just like the people just walking around in plain clothes and just grabbing people, you know, and just being like, okay, you're going to be in this facility now until we figure out if you're allowed to be here or not. Like, that's just terrifying to even think about.
And there was a situation, I can't remember his name. There was a situation where America deported someone to Honduras, I think, and they got it completely wrong, I'm pretty sure, and they deported him to a prison camp, which is one of the most inhumane conditions possible. And I think he might finally be coming back to the US after being in this place. Yeah. Sorry for not knowing his name. Pretty bad with names, but these are the people in charge of migration. They're not taking like much care with who they're trying to deport, who they're taking, who they're imprisoning. It just seems to really be a case of, we're going to fucking take you, and maybe we'll go through your papers, and maybe you'll get out and be allowed to remain here, but we're going to take you, we're going to take you away from your families, completely like make you unbelievably stressed not knowing what's going to happen. Potentially you could no longer be living where you've lived for your entire life. You could be going to a country which, let's be real, there are people that have been in America for so long illegally where Mexico means nothing to them in terms of home anymore. California or another state is their home. And look, at the end of the day, if you've been in a country for 20 years, you've been there illegally, but you've not committed any crime, you've not done anything terrible, you've just been contributing to the country, what's the fucking problem? I don't understand it. And I think that's when you see how horrific it's getting, it makes me more and more frustrated that more people aren't speaking up, because this isn't just like a regular run-of-the-mill drama of the week. This is like a country militarizing against their own people. This is I remember 8 years ago when Trump was first coming in. Obviously, I was against him, but I remember people saying that America was going to descend into fascism, and even I will admit, I think that's a bit much. I think that's a bit of an overkill.
We're here now.
Where are we at? Kamala Harris in the last election.
That one's crazy.
She said that Trump would start arresting people, and I'm pretty sure it was The Hill came out stating
that'll never happen.
That's another Kamala lie. And it's like, well, it's fucking happening. It's the fact that the Marines are possibly going to be deployed, or even the suggestion of it against Americans, is crazy.
It's interesting, man, because like the whole situation, right? When it comes to America, it's very interesting because there's a good portion of America that hates California. hates the whole state. Like, they think the whole state is terrible. They wish it wasn't part of America, right? A lot of those states are in the South, but they really don't like it. And so there's a lot of that sentiment where it's like, burn it down. I don't care. I want everyone to leave. But then to your point, and I think this is important, when it comes to California, there's so many people that are transplants that they benefit from the work and all of the stuff that people do there, but they have no connection to the place, right? And so I'm not saying that this is good that they're doing this, but I think that that's part of why they maybe aren't saying anything, which I think is sad. I think you should say something, but I think that that's a big part of it because they've lived there for a couple years, and they are like, while California is a lot of people there and there's a lot of diversity, it's also very insular, right? And so, like, if you're part of this group of people and you only stay around those people, you're not seeing all of the diverse areas and the beautiful areas and all of these things, right? You're just kind of sticking with, especially if you're like an LA influencer type, you're not going to be going and seeing all of this stuff, right? And so I think that that's probably a big reason why people aren't saying stuff, which again is wrong. And I think that usually, I'm not one of those people that's like, you should speak up. But I think if you are in LA, if you live in LA and you are benefiting from LA and everyone that works in LA and lives in LA, you should say something. Like, at the very least, make an Instagram story just being like, hey, I see what's happening and it's very sad. At least their followers are like, okay, at least this person isn't wishing that I was deported back to somewhere where I've never even really lived, or my parents are going to be deported and I'm here by myself now. Like,
but there's also like, these influencers do have a lot of power. They have like a lot of young people following them, and I'm not saying they need to become hyper political leftists who like preach communism or some shit like that, but I'm just stating that it would do a lot if somebody with 10 million followers told that their audience that they're against ICE and against the things going on in California right now, and that they support the protesters. That would do a lot, because even if there could be someone in that audience that loves this influencer, but they may be opposite of the political spectrum to them, or to what, like, they may agree with ICE, but seeing their favorite influencer who they've idolized, hey, who do we know? That might actually start changing an opinion. I'm thinking, well, why do I like this guy so much? But they also are completely opposite to me politically. It's like, well, maybe you're not so opposite, and maybe you actually do have empathy for what's going on here and more understanding. And it can lead to people going down paths where I think a lot of people are more influenced than they really realize. I think when you see your favorite celebrities, when you see your favorite influencers doing certain things or holding certain beliefs, it can easily cause you to also go down a certain path, whether a good path or a bad path, and I've seen a lot of just in general, the state of social media right now, it's so right wing, it's crazy, but and it's kind of scary. Like, I saw like an XQC tweet the other day, I don't know if you saw this, of where it was him in 2020, it was like a massive tweet being like, Black Lives Matter, like all caps, basically saying that he believes, he's like always believed in the cause and everything like that. And then someone tweeted a screenshot of that tweet, and he replied to it being like, basically saying like, this kind of I think it was something like, this needs to be taken down. Oh, let me just pull it up, because it was a pretty. So he tweeted, "It's a shame." Okay, now I've got the original tweet. Sorry about this. Oh, where is it? The point will be worth it, I promise.
I believe.
XQC. Okay, here we go. So in 2020, XQC tweeted, "It's a shame it has to be even stated, but of course Black Lives Matter. We fucking love you. Keep fighting the good fights. Everyone understands this. I want everyone to feel safe, respected, and all have the same opportunities to do great." And all the replies were like, it's weird. I was surprised that was from 2020. All the replies were nothing but loveliness. People completely agreeing, his audience clearly aligned with him. And it's so weird that I'm shocked by that, because it just shows how different the political spectrum has changed, how much it's changed on social media over the years, because he then saw the screenshot of somebody tweeting that out in 2025, and somebody put, "Bring this back," and it's a screenshot of the tweet, and XQC responds with, "The replies on this give a really good insight of how much fact-checking is being done on X these days. Most of these replies are saying he changed NMFAO. Literally not a single person even verified if the tweet was real. Cringe." So he's basically stating here that his original tweet about Black Lives Matter in 2020 was not real. And then he responds saying, "Oh wait, the tweet is real. Ah ha 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 ha. I'm not going to delete the main reply. That's just too good." And I think that kind of summarizes how much there's been a shift on social media in the last 5 years. And it's so crazy, bro. Because I remember in 2020, I had never seen social media so like embroiled in activism and preaching goodwill, and maybe in some cases, you know, some people were going too far and coming after people for things that they shouldn't have, but overall there was a very positive vibe, and it was a time where I think there was a bit of hope, maybe, you know, that things were going to change. But now it's just fucking hell, bro. The regression is crazy. And I think we spoke about this a few episodes back in terms of the regression of the just political discourse in the world. But it's almost getting scary. Like, you go on Twitter and see all these things with all of such stuff to do with ICE. And you see like protesters who have been in America since they were born, and you see people being like, shoot them, deport them to fucking where, bro? They're from America, they're born in this country. And I know these people have always existed, but it almost just feels like it's getting worse. And that's why I think it's so important for people to actually speak up, in particular people that actually live in California. Sorry, ran over.
No, I agree. Like, I think that it's sad how much power and pull influencers have, but it is what it is. Like, it's just true, right? And like the very least you can do is just say something. And like, I think it's interesting that you're bringing up the XQC thing and like changing, because I feel like that's such a common thing just in a lot of people when it comes to the past 5 years. I feel like has pushed people to the extremes on either end, right? And like for me, it was 2020 was a very big year in my mindset kind of changing. I was never like, I wouldn't consider myself ever far right, but I was certainly like on the pipeline to then becoming that, right? At one point in my life. Like there was a point in my life when I was like, I like Ben Shapiro. I think that Steven Crowder videos are funny, and how those college kids are such dummies. Like
Jordan Peterson and his podcast.
Yeah, like I remember the Jordan. Oh my God, dude. Have you seen the recent Jordan Peterson video, the Surrounded? Oh my God, it's so good. It's so funny to watch. Good in like he looks stupid way, but like there was a time when I read 12 Rules for Life. I mean, granted, I didn't finish it because it was incredibly boring for me. And like I was a huge fan, right? And like I was like, these people, like they might be a little harsh, but like I understand where they're coming from. And a lot of my mindset and stuff changed in 2020 just with everything that was kind of going on. There was it was very, like for me, it was a very big thing with the whole Black Lives Matter stuff, right? And COVID as well, because I remember this is not saying anything about all Christians or anything like that, but this is when I started kind of falling away from that, because I remember I went to church the first time that they opened it, right? And it was just weird because it was very much so like you have to have your mask on and like pay attention, like, you know what I mean? And then just no one had one on there. And I was like, okay, this is weird. And then just at the time, so many people wearing Trump hats. And I was like, I was like, I don't think I jive with this. Right. And there was a lot of other stuff that happened as well. It's not like that was the reason I stopped being like Christian or the reason that I became, I guess you would say, a leftist. Right. But like it definitely started like me having more thoughts and like speaking to other people that it wasn't just an echo chamber in what I believed. The big part was my girlfriend. Right. Like, and having long conversations with her, and like, obviously, I think she's very smart. And so I was like, okay, a lot of this stuff makes sense, right? But I think that story for me happened to so many other people the other way, right? And then the same way as me, but like it was just so common, I think, for all of this stuff to happen, and it's just kind of polarized the sides, and it's gotten to a point where it's like it feels like you have to be on one side or another.
Oh,
like, that's just kind of how it feels.
It's fucking awful. Like, I hate how polarized things are. I get it. I do, because it feels, as I said, it feels right now. When you grow up and you hear someone's a conservative, you're like, oh, they like money, you know. They like money. That's about it, really. They want to pay less tax. They want more money for themselves. And you know, that was my view of a conservative back then. They wanted a stronger economy. And but now it's like, oh my God, the whole Trump, I think after 2016, it became like, to be right wing was almost to be like a religious fanatic in some cases. Now, there are some right wingers out there that do still hold down to the, you know, I'm a right winger in terms of conservative. I believe in certain ways of how the economy should be, and maybe I'm a capitalist and stuff like that. And, you know, you can have your disagreements if you want, but like, I think you still, you know, have a human connection with them. But it's gotten to a point now of where there's such a loud crowd of people that I have no human connection with, and it comes from so much political indoctrination on social media, and it's really fucking sad. And people can say you've been indoctrinated or like in a leftist belief, but I don't really think I have. I believe that people should be able to exist in a country. I believe that people should have free healthcare, and I believe people should have a warm bed to sleep in at night. Is that really indoctrination, or is that just saying that somebody should have human rights? Whereas when you hear what people are saying on the other side, it's fucking shoot these guys, deport these guys, get rid of these guys, take them away in the middle of the fucking night, and it gets worse and worse and worse. It gets to a point of where some of them, when you get really far down the line, are causing for the actual extermination of certain races of people. That's how bad it can get. Whereas with my one, it's more just, I want people to have human rights. I want people to live, and I want people to be happy. So I refuse to believe that I've been indoctrinated in anything. And I have actual family members that have gotten indoctrinated in the worst stuff. And I've tried to explain to my girlfriend of you can't help these people. It's sad. It really is the saddest fucking thing when someone gets indoctrinated in, I'm talking like QAnon stuff, like that level of right wing. Yeah. Dude, I've lost people to that. A very big person and it's embarrassing. It really is, and it's sad. But it's hard to explain to someone who hasn't experienced that type of loss, because it almost feels like, I'm not going to name who the person is because I don't really want, because I don't know if they'll see this. But like it feels like they died and they've come back a new person. Like if there's ever a form of resurrection, it's like their brain
was replaced or something. Like it's weird.
Like you think back to that person when you were younger and who they are now. It's two different human beings, and I'm not exaggerating. It's two human fucking beings. They are different people, and this is the level of indoctrination we're sadly in the world right now. And it is because of social media, and it is because of we have such an overload of access of information of where there isn't enough fact checking. But I think people also just don't want to admit when they're wrong. You could throw someone facts in their fucking face and they just deny it. And with the person who I'm referencing, in my experience, I have had so many arguments and debates with them. But you know what makes it worse? Those debates and those facts that I give them only pushes them further down the fucking rabbit hole. And it's like, what can you do? So when I see violent protests, sorry if I don't get upset at that, because I know what they're violently protesting against. There's a reason people are so aggravated that they are doing certain things. Now, there are going to be people that take advantage of riots and stuff like that, or whatever you want to call them, protests. There will be bad eggs, but at the core foundations of why these protests are happening, ask yourself why. Why are they happening? There's obviously a real reason that comes from people scared, worried, panicked, and just in danger in general. But also, there is also a widespread ideology going through America, Europe, everywhere in the world right now, which puts so many people in danger. So there are going to be riots. There are going to be protests, whatever you, again, want to call them. And you can't... I struggle to really... I don't denounce them. I stand by the protesters. Obviously, I don't want people to riot and burn buildings down and stuff like that. But you can see why people are angry, and you can understand it. And this comes back to the whole influencer thing that I mentioned earlier. Of it makes me upset and angry when I'm not even American, and I can understand that. But then there's some Americans that benefit from the state. They benefit from the economy that they're in. They're multi-millionaires, and yet they still can't do a little bit of goodwill and just do something with their fucking lives other than recording their day-to-day, or, you know, maybe record your day-to-day of going to a protest. I don't know. Have some balls.
Yeah. No, it's definitely very interesting, because like I definitely see where you're coming from, but I also do understand, like, at some point a peaceful protest, like, if it's not doing anything, like, I mean, you have to do something else, right? Because like I feel like a lot of times the reason, especially on the right, they're very like, you gotta be peaceful, you have to, but it's like because they don't want anything to change. And a peaceful protest that doesn't do anything, it's not, no one cares, it's not even gonna get any attention, like, so I understand why things maybe go a little bit further, because people start talking about it. Because if it was just a regular peaceful protest, no one would care. There would be
I mean, the majority of time there's been change throughout history. It didn't come from a peaceful protest. And by the way, I'm not advocating.
I'm not saying we should. I'm not saying we should
saying
riot or like kill
we
people,
understand the crux of why these things happen. Obviously,
yeah.
I completely support the right to protest, though, and I understand why people are angry and enraged. I mean, I think everyone is angry right now. It's fucking sickening, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
We almost have a joke on this podcast if we come back every week and it's like, how has America got worse this week?
I know. I mean, it's just like it's frustrating, because even when I think about it, right, like with the, you know, the right being like, it feels like they want to blame all of the issues that are going on in America on, it's this person's fault, it's these people's fault, it's the people that are this color's fault. When in reality, man, like, so much could be helped if we were instead looking at like the people that are not rich. Like, let's look up, you know, who's actually running the stuff, who has billions and billions and billions of dollars that could, you know, have genuine change for a huge part of this country. It's just so frustrating, because it feels like there are so many people in like good parts of my family, and I mean this respectfully, that are doing not well, like financially and in a lot of other ways, that instead of being like, hey, if these people up here could help us more, that'd be great. They're just like, no, it's their fault, brother. Yeah. It's get them out of here. They're taking our jobs. It's just like, I just wish you would be able to see and understand that there are bigger fish to fry that could make such a massive change for so many people, that it's like you just don't want to like try to change anything. Because the thing that's sad, like with America, is like, I think like there's the American dream, right? Everyone believes that they could, you know, go from nothing to something. And I think that obviously there's great stories of that happening, but I think that that's a big reason why so many people are kind of content with the situation, because they truly believe that they just need another year and they're going to be billionaires too, you know? And it's just like, I think that's a big part of why things don't change, because there's so many people that still believe the lie that in my opinion, the lie that they've been told, that, you know, they can be the next Jeff Bezos. Yeah. It's just.
But just ask, like, how many billionaires do you know? How many billionaires do your friends of friends of friends know? 9 times out of 10, well, not even 9 times out of 10, 9,999 times out of 10,000, they're going to say they don't even have some form of connection to any billionaire, you know? Like, I do YouTube. I've met some amazing people, some very wealthy people, some very important people, but I've never met. Yeah, completely. But I've never met a billionaire or even come close to a billionaire, you know? I mean, maybe you could argue Mr. Beast, but I don't believe he's a billionaire. I know some people say he is, but I don't believe it. I think he's like high 100 millions, sure. But at the end of the day, these are very, very, very rare people. And I think people get caught up in this whole American dream thing to the point of where they start to blame other people around them rather than the people above them, and looking at them and wondering, why am I in poverty when I've been working every hour of my day for years and years straight? Why am I still here? Why do I not have health insurance? Why am I still paying taxes, but I have to get charged to call an ambulance? What, why are we not answering those questions? I mean, thankfully, I don't have to ask those questions in the UK for now. But what's crazy is the American ideas are spreading into Europe. Like, there's people in the UK that genuinely want us to get rid of our national healthcare system, and it's like, why? Like, what possible fucking benefit is there to saying, oh yeah, rather than that ambulance being free, it's now going to cost $1,000? What is the benefit? Like, it makes no fucking sense. It makes absolutely
it's sad that when you see at least for me, when I see a post of someone that had some serious medical thing and they were in the hospital for a month, I'm just my first thought is that's gonna be expensive. In debt now, that's so sad. Isn't that
crazy that your health is the thing that can put you into debt in America? That's so fucking wild, dude. When I get if I get injured, my first thought is, oh yeah, go to the seriously injured. If I get seriously injured, go to the hospital, go to A&E, get checked out. Maybe there's a bit of a waiting time. Oh well, I'll get checked out, sorted, get my prescription, and I'll go. I can't even
There's fathom. People, dude, there are so many people that die here because they just can't afford it. They just can't afford it. That's just a fact. That is a fact. That's just how it is.
And I just can't fathom the idea of even having to worry about that. That is so crazy to me. And also what's crazy is with insurance and stuff, I'm pretty sure insurance can cover a lot, but even in that case, I'm pretty sure insurance doesn't usually cover every single part of the bill, right? No.
Not if you're especially if you have a very serious cancer or something that's it just eventually they're just not going to pay for it all. And so it's just sad, man. It really if you have an emergency and you have to go to the hospital and something like that, it's not like they're going to be no, just let them bleed out. But it's what I'm saying is there are people that know they're sick, but they're just the thought of going to the hospital is just too much for them. Yeah. And they know they're not going to be able to afford it. And then by the time they do end up going to the hospital or they're found and they have to be brought to the hospital, it's just too late, right? And it's if they were more confident in being able to go there and it not literally ruining their life financially, they would do it, And it's just, it's sad. It's a very sad situation, but it's if you're from America, it's just normal. You don't really, you think it's crazy that other people don't have to do it like that,
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think it's with that as well, it's kind of leading people into the self-improvement industry has now ballooned massively because of stuff like this. And there are obviously good things in the self-improvement industry, but now you have people who are selling snake oil pretty much to try and well, this will change your life, this will fix your life, it only costs $10 or something like that. And people are putting stuff into their bodies, they don't know what it is, just because they don't want to go to the doctors and pay a heavy bill and a heavy prescription bill and stuff like that. And it's allowing so much more bad shit to come into the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's funny because on the left you'll hear it's we're blaming the billionaires, the people that are up there that are kind of pulling the strings. And it's sad because when you look at the right side of things, or the right, politically, it's it's actually the reason I'm not doing better isn't because of that up there. Yeah. It's that person that's getting welfare or whatever. They're taking the money and they're making it harder for everyone, right? Yeah. When in reality, man, it's just, for me at least, I feel that's just a way to control the people, right? It's a way to control you because you're fighting against that person. And so because you're busy fighting with the person next to you that maybe they make $30,000 more than you a year, or they make $30,000 less than you a year, but it's like relatively simple, right? Or relatively close. And like you're blaming that person when in reality, if you just looked up, you'd realize that it's like these people have so much money and they can do so much, but they just decide not to. And actually what they do is they try to hurt us to make more money, and it's just, it's one of those things that I think it's really, really, really hard to deprogram someone from that line of thinking because they feel that it is integral to who they are as a person, right? It's integral to the country in their mind, right? America is about picking yourself up by your bootstraps, making yourself something out of nothing. And it's like, maybe there was a time where that was feasible, but now in 2025, it's just that does not work really for the vast majority of people. Not because people are lazy, but because there are systems in place that make it impossible for them, because the people at the top, they want to stay there and they want to get higher and 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 like separate themselves so much from us so they can fly to Mars, so they can just do whatever they want, right? But it's so hard to, like you were saying, kind of deprogram someone from that, because you almost have to deprogram such a core belief of who and what they are and what they're proud of as being proud to be American. Like they are proud of that value, which is so entrenched in the whole thing, And
it is all very deliberate, obviously. Like America, like obviously people higher up want people to think like that and be like, yeah, you do you're on your own, you do your own thing, and that's your story and your legacy and stuff like that. But even with like the Elon thing of going to Mars and stuff, it's like, people get mad at someone for getting free healthcare, but then they fucking absolutely adore it when Elon Musk, richest man in the world, is getting billions of government subsidies to fly to Mars. And it's like, oh, well, we need those government subsidies because Mars is the future. Mars will be where we go when this planet dies. And it's like, guys, we're already fucking here. We could probably fix this whole thing. We could sort it all out. And we could also have free healthcare. This fucking stupid Mars thing is a pipe dream right now. Maybe, rather than giving billions of government subsidies to a trip to fucking Mars, put that on the back burner, fix everything. Because, am I crazy for saying, I get space travel can lead to some great discoveries, and I am all about space travel. I like it. But I'm not for prioritizing Mars over people that already exist on Earth.
What?
I know it's crazy. It's crazy, but but seriously, there are people that seem to fucking have this obsession with going to Mars, and I think we will probably go there in the next 15 years or 20 years probably, but that's not a good thing, really.
I mean, I don't even know, dude. It seems like everything Elon says, it's like I just don't even think he believes it. He just says it to get people talking.
True. And to keep those subsidies coming in.
Yeah, I was watching a video by, I think it's this channel that I found recently, which is actually, I think it's actually pretty good. It's called The Soy Pill. This guy, he does talks about politics, obviously left leaning, and he was talking, I think this is the guy. If it wasn't him, it was another video I was watching. It was a guy that used to work at Tesla, and just talking about how many times Elon said, we're gonna have full self-driving, you won't have to do anything.
I've seen
2016
this.
And he's still saying it's still not there yet, and it's 2025, and it's not like he said we might. It's literally September of this year it's gonna be done, and it's not, and it's just over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I just googled it. Do you know when we last went to the moon?
It was a long time ago. Yeah.
Have a guess of the date.
I'm gonna guess the 60s, maybe 70s.
Okay, I thought you were gonna go 80s. Now you are right. 1972. That's. Yeah. I feel like probably we should go to the moon before we It's you don't run before you can walk, sort of thing. Yeah. But even then, if it costs fucking billions, that could go to much better causes on this planet. It's cool, man. Like, yeah, maybe we will find fucking Optimus Prime on Mars, but I'm not that fussed about it right now.
But it's always going to be something when, like, especially when people are not happy in their current situation, they are going to be much more like, hey, why are we spending money on this?
Yeah.
When, like, it could be to help not just me, right? Because that's the thing. Like, whenever anyone is like pro about this stuff, they're like, oh, you just want free money. I wouldn't get anything. I would get nothing. It would actually be worse for me. Right? I'd pay more taxes.
Bro, I pay the highest tax band in this country. Yeah, I pay so many taxes. But I would rather those fucking taxes that I pay every year go to people that need it. If I found out that I don't think it doesn't happen in the UK because we don't have a space program as far as I know. But if I found out that my taxes were going to fucking Elon Musk, I would be blown shit. No, I can't say that. I would not be doing that. I would be protesting peacefully. But
there's just so much money that it's not even like we don't even have to have higher taxes, right? We could just change what we're spending money on.
Elon Musk has built his empire on $38 billion in government funding, according to the Washington Post. Dude. That is fucking insane. So he just got $38 billion out of, like, how many people can ask for like $1,000, $10 from the American government? How many people can ask for that? This guy can ask for $38 billion.
That's crazy, dude.
And there are people on this guy's side saying that the people from Mexico, the people in California are the problem. Brother, you are supporting a guy who gave, what was it, 270 billion to put Trump in, million, sorry, 270 million to put Trump in power. $1 billion would be crazy.
Something, a lot of money, I'm sure.
Yeah, he put 270 million to put Trump in the White House. And ask yourself why is he doing that? Oh, well, it turns out he's got 38 billion in subsidies. It's like, these things all add up, man. And it's just very frustrating. I truly don't understand how anyone can worship fucking Elon Musk. It outstands me. And I saw some people, even like, kind of to wrap this whole thing up, I saw some people suggesting during the whole Epstein thing of where he was like going on a rampage about Trump, being like, we should get Musk on our side. No, I don't want that guy on our fucking side. Yeah. It's like, I was going to compare him to a certain historical figure, but it's like if a certain historical figure who just done a lot of bad things one day was like, actually, I don't like that other bad guy. It's like, well, you're still a fucking bad guy yourself. Yeah. I don't want... And also, there's a photo of Ghislaine Maxwell and Elon Musk together. So,
yeah.
You know...
Yeah, I don't know how... I think more and more people are like... realizing, especially like, it's been interesting, right? Because it's almost always, everyone thinks Musk is so smart and he knows everything, but then if he talks about something that you know about, you're like, oh, you don't know what you're talking about. And I feel like for a lot of people our age, the biggest one was recently with the video games thing, which might sound silly, but it's like so many people realize, oh, he does not know anything. Like he doesn't even know how stupid he looks because he knows so little. And it's like, people are like, I think there's a lot of people that are definitely losing a lot of respect for him. I'd be curious how many people are genuinely still like, I like Elon Musk a lot and I want him to, I think he's the smartest person. I feel like there's a lot of people that
do you know anyone that likes Elon? Because like I used to, but now
I used to, yeah, but I don't think like I'm maybe they still like him, but they're definitely not talking about it because they probably know it's kind of embarrassing to still like him. Yeah. That's what I feel, at least.
Yeah, no, it definitely is really fucking embarrassing. But yeah, I think we should kind of bring this to a close because we have been going for over 2 hours now. But those 2 hours went really fucking quickly. That was a good old chat. And I know we didn't really discuss too much YouTubery stuff, but I mean, we kind of did with the influency stuff. But I don't mind that. My only issue is I have not got a clue what the thumbnail's going to be. The title, I've already got a title in my mind. We spoke about influencers with this thing. We can get in there, but I don't. The thumbnail, it might just have to be us, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe I can put a MAGA hat on you in the thumbnail.
There you go.
But yeah, thanks for listening, guys. I'm not ill now, so we should have an episode for you next week. I'm not even going to promise it, but we should.
We'll see.
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe. Please subscribe. Either way, there will be another episode. We promise. Thank you very much for coming along. And yeah, like and subscribe. Peace out. Bye-bye.